If you liked the video, feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. This video is a deep dive on the Adeptus Custodes Forge World Transport, the Coronus Grav-carrier. This and next week's deep dive will finish off all the deep dives for the Forge World units, then a push to finish the last Codex units. Another unit you may not even know had existed. Is it because it is so good the Captain General has kept it all for himself? This video, we will find out if one of our detachments holds some hidden power to make this the new talk of the town, or is it another Forge World relic? As always, let's start with the datasheet. The Coronus Grav-carrier has a movement of 12, toughness of 12, 2-up save with a 5+ invulnerable, 16 wounds, leadership of 6+, and an OC of 5. It only has 2 ranged weapons, the Twin Arachnus Blaze Cannon, 24-inch range, 8 attacks, hitting on a 2+, strength 5, AP 1, damage 1, with devastating wounds and twin linked. The other gun is the Twin Lastworm Bolt Cannon, 36-inch range, 3 attacks, hitting on a 2+, strength 6, AP 1, damage 1, with sustained hits 1. The melee weapons, we have the Armored Hull, 6 attacks, hitting on a 4+, strength 8, AP 0, damage 1. The Coronus Grav-carrier does have a damage profile, so 1 to 5 wounds remaining. This will have -1 to the hit roll. For the transport capacity, it can transport up to 8 Adeptus Custodes infantry models. For the keywords, we have vehicle, transport, fly, Imperium, and Coronus Grav-carrier. The Coronus Grav-carrier abilities, we have Deadly Demise D6, Martial Kata, so this thing can have lethal hits or sustain hits 1 in the fight phase. The final ability, Fire Support, in your shooting phase. After this model has shot, select one enemy unit hit by 1 or more of those attacks until the end of the phase. Each time a friendly model that has disembarked from this transport this turn makes an attack that targets that enemy unit, you can re-roll the wound roll. The datasheet does not pop out as amazing. The ranged weapons are lacking some actual threat to anything other than infantry. It does know Custodes Karate, so watch out fight phase. It is toughness 12, 16 wounds with a 2+ save and 5+ invulnerable. It can take a beating before it goes down. Tougher than a Land Raider, the Land Raider does not have the 5+ invulnerable. It does have the fly keyword as well. It can move over enemy models, including vehicles and monster units. The ability Fire Support, this ability is another thing that drags the Grav-carrier down. Too many hoops to jump through to get a buff that is not really worth the effort or the cost of the transport. Have a unit inside a transport, disembark that unit, shoot something with the Coronus, then that disembarked unit can re-roll the wound roll when shooting the same target as the Coronus. Re-roll wounds is a great buff, so why don't I like it? There are 2 big reasons I don't like this ability. First, we do not have any strong shooting units to be worth the points. Sagittarum, Alaris, or even the Melter Spear Guard are decent at shooting. Is it worth bringing an expensive transport to re-roll wounds? No, the Alaris and Melter Spear Guard can already do that in certain situations. Second, if we move the Coronus, disembark the unit, the disembarked unit cannot declare a charge that turn, it can only shoot. While the Venerable Land Raider has the Assault Ramp ability, we can move the Land Raider, disembark the unit, shoot with the unit, and charge. Then we have that transport capacity. The Coronus Grav-carrier can transport 8 Custodes infantry, and oddly enough, if we did want to put Psychona units inside of this, that would only be 8 Psychona units. The strange thing to me is that transport of 8. Most of our units are 5 models. We add a leader to make 6 total models. Our largest non-Psychona unit is 6 Alaris Terminators with a Shield Captain for a total of 7 models. We can only run the Sagittarum in units of 5. There are some options like 2 units of 4 Guard, 5 Sagittarum and 3 Alaris. It just seems like a pain in the rear to set this up with a transport capacity of 8. Now it is not all bad. It has always been our cheapest non-Psychona transport while having a very tanky profile. That is about it. I wish I could say more good things about the Coronus. It is kinda cheap and tough. The ranged weapons hold no real threat, the odd transport capacity along with the lackluster ability. The only detachment I can see this being usable is the Solar Spearhead. The other detachments do not have enough support to make the Coronus a real option in a list. The Venerable Land Raider is currently 220 points, 20 more points than the Coronus, while having much better guns and a much better ability. Let's take a look at some of the rules in the Solar Spearhead detachment that can help the Coronus Grav-carrier. We have the detachment rule, Auric Armor. while an Adeptus Custodes vehicle unit from your army is at starting strength. Unless that unit is an aircraft or battle shocked, add 2 to the objective control of models in that unit. We also have while an Adeptus Custodes vehicle unit from your army is below starting strength, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, re-roll a hit roll of 1. The last part of Orc Armor, while an Adeptus Custodes vehicle unit from your army is below half strength, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, you can re-roll a hit roll of 1 and re-roll a wound roll of 1. The other part, Moratory Ancients, is for walker units, and our Coronus Grav-carrier is not a walker/dreadnought. Solar Spearhead has the best detachment rule for the vehicles. This is where those awful weapons show up again. Only 2 ranged weapon profiles, mid-strength, damage 1 weapons. The Arachnus Cannon already has to reroll wounds from the twin-linked ability. The biggest help from this detachment rule will be the bonus OC2. At full strength, the Grav-carrier will be at OC7, great for stealing objectives. We can't put any enhancements on the Grav-carrier, so let's move on to the stratagems. The first one is Flawless Construction. Until the end of the phase, each time attack that targets the Coronus, if the strength of that attack is greater than the toughness of 12 of the Coronus Grav-carrier, subtract 1 from the wound roll. Flawless Construction is normally a great stratagem for keeping our Custodes vehicles alive. It can help the carrier. The attack needs to be higher than strength 12. -1 to the wound roll is great for when we do need it. The Coronus is at toughness 12. The stratagem will not be as useful as on our Dreadnoughts or Custodes Grav tank who do have a lower toughness. Next up is Punishment Inescapable for 1 CP. Used in our shooting phase, it'll give our ranged weapons the Ignores Cover ability, as well as ignore any modifiers to our ballistic skill or the hit roll. Ignore cover on a bunch of AP1 damage 1 shots is not making me excited for the stratagem. If we have Grav tanks or Venerable Land Raiders in the list, they will love ignore cover on their big AP3 damage D6 plus damage attacks. The theme of the Coronus in this detachment is the guns are not strong enough. Relentless Persecution for 1 CP, this will allow the Grav-carrier to advance and shoot. Advance and shoot is great when we have guns worth spending the 1 CP on. The Grav tank has anti-infantry guns. We have plenty of anti-infantry shooting in most if not all of our Custodes list. I would rather use this on a Custodes Grav tank or a Telemon to get the best use of the stratagem. Next up is Unstoppable for 1 CP. In your movement phase or your charge phase, we can use this to allow the Grav-carrier to move through terrain. In the recent faction pack that GW has released, it looks like they do have the old Unstoppable on there, where you could go through models and terrain features. It is still only terrain features on the app. Until GW comes out and says otherwise, I'm going to assume we can only move through terrain with this stratagem. The ranged weapons and ability take the fun out of this stratagem. Dreadnoughts can move through terrain, shoot and charge. The Custodes Grav tank can move through terrain and shoot those great guns. The Venerable Land Raider can move through terrain, disembark a unit that can charge, as well as shoot those las cannons and other guns. The Coronus Grav-carrier can move through terrain, shoot some damage 1 guns, and call it a day. Not the best use of this stratagem. Well, as you can see, even though Solar Spearhead is the best vehicle detachment, yes, what we put inside the transport makes a difference. The FAR support ability just does not support the Custodes. In a way, we would want a transport vehicle to support the Custodes. We can give the Grav-carrier -1 to the wound roll against strength 13 plus weapons, and some extra OC from the detachment rule. The other stratagems I would use on different units in my list. I give the Coronus Grav-carrier a 3 out of 10 in the Solar Spearhead detachment. Why not just pay the extra 20 points for a Land Raider if we want a transport vehicle in our list? We will finish the video with some final thoughts. I may have missed something, but this unit seems like it needs some help. Throw a 2-shot las cannon on it or some sort of anti-tank gun. If it had a bit more anti-tank threat and dropped a few points, we may be able to use the Coronus. Right now, the ranged weapons and the lackluster ability make it one of the worst Forge World units and worst overall units in the Adeptus Custodes range. It is tough as nails, it just needs something extra to make it more viable in a list. Have you been using the Grav-carrier, and how has it been doing in your list? Subscribe for battle reports, list videos, and other Warhammer 40K content. Channel members gain early access to videos and access to the channel Discord. Like always, thanks for watching, thanks for stopping by.